The first bill we'll look at is House Bill 302. This bill directs a similar to our K-12 list of priority jobs in the sector from the State Workforce Investment Board, that they work with Mississippi Community College Board for curriculum, that these list of high-value industry certifications for participants at the community and junior college have a reimbursement from pending availability of funds. Of course, this bill comes from us from the House, from the chair of workforce on the House side. This bill is double referred to appropriations, so it would be subject to appropriation, and is a similar concept of a reimbursement that we currently have at the K-12 model, knowing that these career and technical education classes generally have a greater expense. That amount per student in this particular grant would be $600. Again, that is subject to appropriation, and this would be new and different from what we had been done in the past, as this is basically taking the K-12 model to community colleges. I would yield to any questions. There are no questions for a motion. The motion is title sufficient to pass. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? That bill will be reported out. The next bill on the list is House Bill 1001. This is addressing issues within the population in our correctional facilities. This is a bill that comes to us from the chair on corrections on the other side. This is something that I know that she has worked on and is trying to continue to find a better way to move through the process as far as labor accountability and rehabilitation. These are things that we're all interested in. I would offer an amendment at the appropriate time as a reverse repealer, as we want to continue to work on the language and make sure that we understand exactly what we're trying to do in all of this process. I would yield to any questions. If there are no questions, I would offer the motion of a reverse repealer. Any questions on the motion on the reverse repealer? If not, for a motion on that to adopt the reverse repealer, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion will be adopted. And then on the bill, any questions? If not, for a motion, title sufficient to pass as amended, and that is the motion. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? That bill will be reported out. House Bill 1414. I'll grab my packet here, I guess, to look at it. This is addressing language. This also is going to appropriations. I don't primarily see this as an additional appropriation. This is dealing more so with the WEP funds that flowed through the community college board for many, many years. These are the monies that are created from unemployment taxes that are paid by employers, and this is where a lot of our workforce and training funds come from. This comes from our chair on the House end. And this is to reflect that the monies now are flowing through the Mississippi Office of Workforce Development. You can see that online. I believe it's 69. I'm looking at the strike-through version. And that is the intent of this legislation, is that since the Community College Board is no longer overseeing these bills, or excuse me, these monies, that it would go to the proper entity. And that is a brief explanation of the bill, and I would yield to any questions. Yes, Senator Parker.
So it would no longer go through Accelerate?
No, that's exactly who it would go through. That's the intent. The proper name being the Office of Workforce Development. We always commonly use the term Accelerate, but yes, the intent is that it goes through Accelerate as the Office of Workforce Development.
Okay, because when we set everything up, we moved it away from Andrea Mayfield at that time at Community College Board and put it over with Accelerate. I just want to make sure we're staying with the same model that we set up back then.
100%, that's the intent. Apparently, the language still required the Community College Board to do some things, and they no longer have those monies.
Okay, great. Thank you.
If there are no further questions, for a motion. Tile sufficiency passes the motion. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? And that bill would be reported out. House Bill 1476 is a bill that addresses the Delta Correctional Facility with a work release program. This is a bill that you've seen before because we have had the bill come to our committee. It's been through corrections with a Senate bill. I am supportive of the concept. I've asked questions about it. There are certainly some areas that we want to make sure are in line with what we've been doing with work release. Chairman Barnett has been a proponent of the work release program and doing it in a capacity that we could manage and make sure that would be handled appropriately. That is the continued intent as we move through this program. I'm going to ask that a reverse repealer be placed in this bill to make sure that we are in line with that as we continue discussion. But I would yield to any questions at this time on the bill. Senator Barnett.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, on pages or on lines 90, starting on line 89 to 110. Would it be necessary for an amendment, or would the reverse repealer that you offer satisfy what we've already done before in the amounts that are supposed to be that the people, that the inmates or those incarcerated shall pay from their earnings?
That's correct. I think the reverse repealer, my intention with the reverse repealer is to make certain that we are following the guidance that we have given as far as how those wages are to be calculated and to return. But this one is a little different than the 25 inmates we've seen at different locations. So, I certainly am in support of this. I've been on the ground at this particular facility, and there's an interesting circumstance where a correctional facility is inside an industrial park. So they have some unique opportunities. My concern with putting the reverse repealer in is that I want to make sure we get it right. And I think anything like you're talking about as far as specifics for calculation of how the wages are paid and also the part that they keep is one of the purposes for the reverse repealer.
Okay, so you don't think it's necessary that if I offer an amendment that speaks to the amount plus the reverse repealer, would you be supportive of that, or would you just want the reverse repealer and we continue to cover those amounts that we have already put in other legislation for the same thing at other facilities?
I'm certainly not opposed to the amendment just from the standpoint of, I guess, clerical is that if we put the reverse repealer in it, I think we have that opportunity to do that. But I am not opposed to an amendment that would make it streamlined with what we've been doing.
That's all I wanted the amendment to do. I mean, but I'll take your lead on if we can fix this with the reverse, going forward with the reverse repealer, and it's just for it to be uniform throughout everywhere where we're allowing those individuals participate in the workforce. I just want it to be uniform and not one feel like they're having to pay more than others at a different facility.
I agree with you, unless they're receiving a service that's unique, and that's why I do think we need further discussion on it. But I will say this, after we pass it out of committee today, if you want to get with council and we get language of the specific amendment you want, before we get to the floor, we could even, if it gets to a point of comfort, we can amend and do it that way.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just hold off on my amendment and we'll fix it going forward.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Senator Parker.
So the felonies that will be eligible for this could be any felony conviction as long as at the end of the sentence they have less than 1 year remaining on that sentence at the time. Is that correct?
I believe on line 15, no person sentenced for any sex crime.
Yeah, so,
okay.
So other than that qualifier, any other felony beyond the ones that are excluded in that subsection 2 there, would be eligible, correct?
As it's written, that's correct. And again, the offering of the reverse repealer is to try to make sure
Right.
we all get on the same page of what we want to have going forward.
And in that same subsection there, has 1 year remaining on her sentence. Is it the Delta Correctional Facility is strictly a women's facility?
It is.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Yes, Senator Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with you, I just want to just explain briefly to some of the questions that Senator Parker and
Certainly.
and the reverse repealer, Senator Parker, that Senator Sparks offer will address those questions that you have, because there is some language things that's not in here as it pertains to how and who will be considered for the release. And we made sure that nonviolent, these are all for nonviolent individuals that we're talking about, and certain crimes that may have been committed, they would not be allowed to participate in this program. And I think this says 1 year, but what we passed before was 2 years for those individuals who have 2 years or less left on their sentence. So all of the things that you're asking about is already language that we passed out, and I think Senator, the chairman, I think that was part of his asking for a reverse repeal, is to make sure that we satisfy all of those questions that you may have, and to make sure that the language that we've already brought forward is included in this, if I'm not speaking.
No, that's correct. And probably a strike all amendment may have been a better approach to this, but trying to work in a time compressed manner, I'm proud to keep this alive. I've not checked the status of the Senate bill that covers the same subject matter, but that is definitely the reason for the reverse repealer, because I read 3 years in this one. So there's the type of crime, the length of time, several things that we can get it as a strike all for the floor, or we can simply go to conference and hash it out there. But yes, that is correct.
And just as follow up on, Senator Barnett's kind of questions there, so the goal is to, with the reverse repealer, limit this to nonviolent or non-aggravated types of felonies at the end. So that would be the hope of the bill he's discussing, and the reverse repealer is to further quantify who would be eligible for this. Is
That's correct. And the fact of trying to be more probably in line with what the Senate language was is the intention. Yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Any further questions? If no other questions, the motion is for an amendment of a reverse repealer. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right. And any other questions? If not, a motion? All right. The motion is style sufficient to pass as amended. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? That will be reported out. The final bill is House Bill 1501. You do have a strike all amendment, and this is the Senate language. This is a bill that we passed that allows municipalities, counties to come together to do some projects, whether it's under MFLEX or under the TIF. Type of pledging of bonds of revenue. This passed through finance the first time with us, and then we've received the House version of it. And so we're striking, putting our language. What the discussion had become was MDA wanted to have some certification, and that was added in our language, which is in your strike all. And the amount, as far as the max amount that they could utilize, was moved from 10 million to 5 million, which was also something that I think MDA was involved with, but there was some concern on the floor. There were questions of whether some of our smaller units of government needed this additional assistance. We want them to have the opportunity to participate, but we also don't want them to be put into a bad negotiation position. So they felt like MDA being involved in this, at least to certify, and making the amount a little bit less would be a bit safer. But in totality, this is what we passed out of the Senate. This is our language, and that is the amendment that is proposed to 1501. I would yield to any questions on the amendment. If there are no questions, I would move for adoption of the amendment. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the bill is amended. Now I would ask if there's any questions on the bill as amended. If not, for a motion. All right, title sufficient do pass as amended. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? That bill will be reported out. And then for one more motion. Rise and report. Thank you.